Welcome to Haxby Shed. Mid-November, winter's coming, getting a bit chilly in the workshop now. In this video, I'm cleaning up this 5-inch Pratt Burnerd chuck. It's come up quite nicely. Have a look. I hope you enjoy it. At the Autojumble, I managed to find this chuck, Pratt Burnerd 5-inch. Very mucky. Somebody's made a back plate for it. 10 quid. What do you think? When I saw it, I had in mind, 20 maybe. 15 would be okay, and the guy said 10, so I bit his hand off. This is going to clean up really nicely. Now I need some external jaws for it, if I can find them. I'm going to the Autojumble again this Saturday, and you often find jaws kicking around in trays. By that stage they've lost their part numbers because the boxes have gone. But if I can figure out the dimensions of these jaws, I may be able to get some replacements, because 5-inch was a fairly common size, and I've discovered that this square key is 9mm and these screws at the back here are 6mm, so it looks like it's a metric chuck. So we'll start by getting the back off, I think. See what it's like inside. I'll have to be a bit careful because I haven't got my safety boots on today. Well, that's fairly loose anyway, actually. Same. Oh, that one's tighter. Bit stiff, bit seized. Oh, it's just the cap head that's seizing. Somebody's made rather a nice back plate. They've put a centre pop there and there so I can get the plate lined up the same way if I ever needed to. These seem to be 7/16 UNC as far as I can tell. It's quite clean in there, apart from swarf of course, but it's not rusty at all, and it's a nice self-contained chuck, so the scroll mechanism's not exposed or anything. So that'll do very nicely for my purposes, because I'm planning to put this chuck onto a welding rotator. That's the idea, that's what I bought it for. So now I need to get these jaws out, and then I need to measure them so I can look out for some external jaws. I've got a bit of 3/8 square, which somebody at some stages tried to use as a chuck key, I think. And I've just ground a little bit off to make it 9mm square, and it just goes in nicely. But it's all seized, so the next thing I'm going to do is wash it off with some brake cleaner, and that may well free it up. We're off. It's shifted. I give it a good old smack with a mallet on these jaws both ways, and we're in business. Don't think there's anything wrong with this chuck, Might be too good to use for a welding rotator. It's pretty good in there. Nothing wrong with that. Well, I've given those a bit of a clean, and over the next few days I'll clean it up properly. A few days later, I've done quite a bit of cleaning up on this now, off and on in between times, but it's quite hard to turn, so I'm going to strip it down actually. Now there's 3 screws here which I think take this back plate off. They're sort of machined flat on one side, so I'm assuming that somebody had bored out a little bit or something just to put a bigger hole through the centre. Anyway, we'll get these out, and I'll need to make sure I know which one comes from where, but luckily they line up with the jaws, so we can count 1, 2, 3. Actually 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put the screws into this strip so I know which is which. 1, 2, 3. So this is 1. Just tapping this back plate off. Ooh. Oh, it's quite nice inside, look. No rust or anything, it just needs a wash out. That's the shell that holds everything together. Next, these 3 screws need to come out to release these 3 bevels. Then the big bevel ring will come out, the scroll, and then it can be washed off, reassembled, grease it up and put the back on. Ooh, that's it, it's coming out. That's it. Try and keep them the same. What's that one? Oh, between 2 and 3, that one. Just using a bit of soft plastic to tap this. It'll take a bit of work going round and round it to get this out. It's going though. Yeah, it's going. There we are. Ta-da! There it is. Step by step, cleaning it up. Done these, done that, done this. Just making sure the jaws slide okay now. It's a really smart chuck actually. I've given it a pretty decent clean out. I've put a little bit of grease on. I'll probably put a bit of oil on once I've got it together. Start with this ring, if it will go. Just a little bit of grease, that's all. Drop the pin in. Try and get it in the right hole. Not this one, this one. These chuck key bevels are a bit tricky to line up for the pins to go in, these threaded securing pins. But after a bit of fiddling, it's okay. It's all machined to a very high tolerance, you can tell. You get anything slightly cockled over and it just won't go. I'll just put a little bit of grease on things. I don't want to fill the whole thing with grease. Trouble is, if you try using oil, then you get it on fast spin, although this won't be on fast spin. You end up with oil in your face. So just a bit of grease, that's all I'm putting on. Grease this retaining thingy before I put it in. There was a bit of rust on it around the edge inside, but very little actually. It was just dried out grease which was the main problem. I think that's good enough actually. And now I'd put a dot on it so I know where number 1 jaw is. There it is, there's a dot. Find number 1 jaw, that one. So I know that one went that way around. There we are, that went in easily. And I've got my 3 screws. There we are. So 1, 2, 3. Because they'd machined some of it away, I needed to make sure they were the same screws in the same order. So that's number 1. Because the screw was machined away a bit, it wants to cross thread. Anyway, it's alright now, I think. They've obviously bored out the centre of this chuck to give a larger pass through, but the only thing that will go through the centre of this, if it goes on a welding rotator, is purge gas. So just a bit of oil on these, that's all. So, number 1. Oh, come on, there we go. Where's the key gone? There we are. This way, number 1. Watch where it comes round. Number 2. Number 3. Come on, that's it. Too good for a welding rotator really, but I'll probably be doing TIG on it most of the time, so there's not going to be much spatter, if any, actually. It'll be right.